Delete it. Now. Counselor Rezor's voice was sharp, wet, layered with mucus tension. He waved two of his hands toward the data technician's console, claws twitching as the SOS pulsed again, bright, panicked, raw. The transmission was from the Varnathi system. Minor species. Weak. Strategically irrelevant. Desperate. This is Varna Prime. They are taking us. Please anyone. They have ships in our sky. Children missing. We cannot stop them. We cannot. The message fizzled in. Static, then looped. Earth will hear that, said Ambassador Kyer dryly, flicking one antenna in disgust. Rezar hissed. So? Let them. It's a border scuffle. They won't waste resources. Do you know what they call themselves now? Kyer muttered. They don't say Terran Union anymore. Not Federation. Just one word. Rezar glanced sideways. Kyer leaned in. Deathworlders. They heard it. Of course they did. Earth's deep space sensory net caught the SOS on 3 overlapping bands. The pulse frequency was amateur. A panic burst. No encryption. It wasn't meant to be elegant. It was meant to beg. And Deathworlders don't ignore begging. In low orbit over Europa, General Kazmarin stepped onto the deck of the UED Tigris, reading the transmission one last time before the launch queue finalized. Unknown. Species, not aligned. Facing forced occupation. The room was still. Too still. Marin turned. Anyone know where the Council fleets were stationed when this hit? 4 systems away, still not responding. And us? We're already here. The Council's high relay in Sector 5 received. The second ping 36 minutes later. Not from Varna, from Earth. A packet, cold, clean, contained. No threats, just 3 words. We received it. That was all. The line went dead. Back on Varna Prime. Ambassador Thurin stood on a glass tower, watching his people scream into the sky as invasion craft dropped like steel teardrops through purple clouds. No defense net, no weapons. Only static. And then dash silence. Not peace. Stillness. The kind of silence that happens just before everything changes. The sky cracked open, and something enormous eclipsed the alien. Moons. A Terran warship. Not council-sized. Not elegant. Not elegant at all. Just brutal. Massive. Black with no reflective signatures, like it disagreed with light entirely. The Varnathi stared. Even the invaders paused. Engines flickered. Timers stopped. Then the warship broadcast one line across the surface of Varna. You called. We came. Counselor Rezar heard the update from 3 systems away. He blinked once. Then twice. What do you mean Earth responded already? That was hours ago. They don't move that fast. They do, said Kyer softly, when you give them a reason. Aboard the Tigris, General Marin stared at the drop troop monitor. Invasion fleet had already begun to retreat, but it was too late, because the Deathworlders weren't just sending ships. They were sending a message, and it wasn't for the enemy. It was for the Council. They heard this, sending ships. They were sending a message, and it wasn't for the enemy. It was for the Council. Scream, they responded. And that was before Earth even spoke. The first Terran drop pod hit the ground like a god slamming his fist into the planet. No anti-grav, no soft approach. Just velocity, dust, pressure. The Varna landscape cracked under it. Nearby, the Invaders Council affiliated Hastari troops froze mid-formation. They weren't rookies. They'd leveled 7 colonies. But this felt different. The pod hissed. Then opened. No banners. No announcements. Just 6 figures stepped into the light slow. Deliberate, silent. Armored. Helmets down. No unit insignia. No facial markers. No emotion. Just the unmistakable pace of beings who fought before and buried what they used to be. General Kaz Marin stood inside the Tigris command bridge, arms behind her back, watching each helmet camera from orbit. There. Deploying quiet, her comms officer said. Good, she replied. They'll be louder soon. Council fleet's just now powering engines. Their scouts are too far out to help. Marin's lips curled. Let's give them something to report. Down on the ground, the Hestari commander barked through his skull set. Retreat formation Zeta full perimeter suppression. Too late. The Deathworlders didn't fire. They didn't have to. One of them, heavy-framed soldier marked only as Unit 4, walked forward, straight through plasma fire. Each bolt slammed into the armor and hissed out like steam against. Glacier metal. 1 step. 2. Still walking. And then the counterstrike came. Unit 4 didn't pull a weapon. He grabbed a piece of shrapnel from the broken pod, half a meter of twisted hull plating, and threw it like a discus. It split a Hestari, a PC in half. Not disabled. Split in half. On Varna's capital rooftop, Ambassador Thurin watched the live feed on a hijacked civilian drone. He had never seen humans fight. He'd heard the legends. The words whispered in backroom trade deals. Deathworlders. Don't escalate. They conclude. He now understood what that meant. One of the Terran soldiers, smallest among them, maybe female, stepped into a cluster of surrendering Hestari. They dropped weapons, raised arms. She didn't shoot. She spoke. No translator. Just one line. Low, clear. You chose to ignore a scream. Then she turned and walked past them. They collapsed where they stood. Some weeping, some just breathing, as if their bodies had forgotten how to do even that until she passed. Up in orbit, Counselor Rizar's command ship had finally caught visual. They stared at the feed like it was some ancient ghost footage. Not real time. Why aren't they using formal communication protocols? Rizar hissed. They're using movement, said Kyer flatly. It's louder. Rizar's claws tapped against the glass of his viewfield. And the Council fleet? They haven't moved. One got close. It turned around. Terran Unit 1, designated only as Cade in files Marin never unlocked, walked through the smoke of a collapsed dome. Inside, children, Varnathi, small, eyes wide. Covered in ash. One of them held a broken toy like it could still save them. Cade didn't speak. He just knelt. And handed the child his helmet, not as a gift. As a promise. Then stood, turned, and faced the last remaining invaders, still trying to form ranks. They didn't run, but they didn't fire either, because the humans didn't. Blink. And that was worse. Counselor Rizar finally snapped. Enough of this performance. Send a warning. Kyer narrowed his compound eyes. You already did. Rizar barked. They can't just act on authorized channels. Kyer chuckled darkly. They didn't respond to our call. They answered someone else's. The Terran transmission hit all open bands on the Varna system 5 minutes later. Calm. No drama. Just a male voice, emotionless. To the Council aligned. Forces interfering with Varna Prime. You were given time. You were offered empathy. You were met with requests. You answered with silence. We speak in your language now. In the black space behind the orbit line, more Terran ships began to blink in. Not Warfleet structure. No patterns. Just presences. Deathworlders didn't deploy like a military. They arrived like a consequence. Ambassador. Thurin wept openly now. Not from sorrow. From recognition. They hadn't just been rescued. They'd been heard. General. Marin opened her command channel and simply said, 4 hours to clean the ground. Then we rebuild what they broke. Aid. And if the Council sends reinforcements? Marin didn't even look up. Then they'll get to find out what Chapter 2 looks like. The final clip transmitted from Varna Prime was a still image. 1. Death Worlder, kneeling beside a fallen Varnathi elder. Holding her hand, helmet off, human, face visible. Tired. Not angry. Just tired. Captioned in 3 words, you called us. They laughed when Earth claimed neutrality. They scoffed when Terran said they'd wait. They ignored the scream. But Death Worlders didn't, and they weren't here to negotiate. The first statue went up 12 hours after the last Hestari gun fell. Silent. They forged it from melted armor plating and fallen scrap shaped into the towering form of a Terran soldier. Head bowed, one hand shielding a Varnathi child. A symbol of gratitude. Of survival. Of a miracle that wore boots and bled human blood. But by the time the statue was complete, the humans were already leaving. Not fleeing. Just moving on. Ambassador Thurin chased after them, barefoot across the cracked Varna concrete, robes soaked in ash and rain. Wait, please. Your people saved ours. We haven't even prepared the feast, the stone, the sky fire. Terran Unit 3 Calcine Rook paused by the exit ramp of the Tigris. He turned slowly, helmet clipped to his hip, soot still smeared across his faceplate. You want a celebration, he said flatly. Yes, Thurin said. A naming, a binding of our peoples. An apology for the oversight. The Rook's jaw flexed. We didn't come to be forgiven. That stopped Thurin mid-sentence. Rook pointed at the sky, where cleanup drones still circled. We didn't drop in for honor, or protocol, or politics. Then why? Thurin asked softly. Because we know what it feels like when no one answers. Rook said. Inside the Tigris, General Marin reviewed the evac logs. No soldiers lost, 5 injured. 33 Varnathi medical cases treated. All children stable. Infrastructure secured. Enemy fleet routed. 0 retaliations. She closed the file, and then she opened another. Not tactical. Not authorized. Just a page from her father's war journal. They won't remember your medals. They'll remember who held the line when the stars blinked. And if they ever scream, you listen, even if it's not your fight. On the ground, some Varnathi tried again. They placed a circle of crystal shells, rare ceremonial gifts, outside the human barracks. Symbols of peace, reverence. Terran Unit 2 picked one up, turned it in his hand. Then gently set it back. No offense, he said, but we're not here to collect favors. Then what are you? Asked a young Varnathi girl nearby. Unit 2 glanced down at her. Kneeling, his armor hissed. We're the warning shot that never needed to. Fire. Above, Counselor Rizar watched the orbital feeds, expression unreadable. They're just leaving? Kier nodded. No demands? No territory annexed? Not yet, Kier said. They don't want land, Rizar frowned. Then what? And Kier said the words no counselor had ever said aloud. They want to make sure no one ever feels like Earth once did. Later that evening, at the edge of the impact zone, a small group of Varnathi gathered for a vigil. No Terrans attended, until one did, not in uniform, not in armor. Just a man in simple clothes, sitting on a broken wall, watching the candles flicker. Varnathi elder approached him. You're one of them. He nodded. We wanted to honor you. We don't do this for honor, the man replied. Then why? He looked at her, eyes heavy. Voice low, because when Earth screamed, no one came. The story spread, faster than any fleet, faster than any war could. It wasn't the statue. It wasn't the weapons. It was the way they fought. The restraint. The silence. The refusal to call themselves saviors. Aboard the Council High Ring, a report reached the Prime Circle. Terran fleet exited Varna system. No salvage taken. No tribute demanded. Only trace, a small data file left behind. They opened it. It contained no encryption, just a single sentence. Next time, listen the first time. Later, when the statues were cleaned and the skies returned to peace, a Varnathi child asked her mother why the Deathworlders didn't stay. Because they're not here to rule us, she said. Then what are they? The mother smiled sadly. Reminders. On board the Tigris, as the ship cruised out of Varna's orbit, General Marin looked out the viewport and muttered to herself, "We don't wear capes, we wear scars." No one replied, but across every Terran channel, one phrase quietly echoed. Phrase they had written into doctrine, into memory. And into Mirai's final log years ago. They laughed, then they stopped. Now they listen. They're not heroes. The council broadcast began, tone surgical, voice filtered through 1,000 translators. They are reactionary, unregulated, warburn, genetically volatile. The statement aired across 39 systems. No footage. No context. Just cold fear disguised as caution. A smear campaign. And above it all, the central lie. They're not here to help. They're here to remind us who they are. And for once, they weren't wrong. Just not in the way they thought. On the bridge of the CNS Jareth, Admiral Rill tapped his claws on the edge of his data panel as the broadcast looped again. "You see? This is how it begins," he told his crew. Let one Terran ship answer a random signal, and suddenly entire sectors start praying to them like gods. His second officer, a younger Plavari named Solon, kept her voice neutral. The Varna incident was real. Rill scoffed. So were their cameras, Solon paused, and the children they saved? A silence thicker than policy filled the deck. Then, send a drone, Rill said. Let's see if Earth bites twice. In Terran orbit, a low-level analyst named Mira Jin caught the ping first. She stared at the signal quietly. Not military grade, not encrypted. But close. "Sir," she said without turning, "we're being baited." Commander Darian Black looked up from his meal tray. From which direction? Outer Council border. Signals dressed like a distress call. Obvious bait. He nodded once. Send the usual. Mira blinked. Deploy a ship? No. He stood and smiled without warmth. Send. A reply. The CNS Jareth received the Earth response 7 minutes later. Just audio. Just 4 words. We remember our silence. Rill squinted. What does that mean? Solon looked at the waveforms. It means they know we're watching. And they want us to think. About what? She didn't answer. Meanwhile, on Varna, the smear campaign had the opposite effect. Survivors began to speak first in whispers, then in full vids, then in system-wide messages. They didn't land like gods. They landed like ghosts. They didn't ask for food. They built shelters. They didn't threaten our invaders. They walked through their fire. One clip went viral in 4 sectors. A helmet cam recording from a Terran soldier named Cade facing down a Council-aligned gunship alone. His suit was cracked. His leg was bleeding, but he didn't fire. He just pointed upward where the Terran ship hung low in the clouds and said, "You came to hurt people. We came to stop you." The gunship backed off. Cade collapsed. The feed cut out. That footage spread faster than the Council's warnings and far deeper, because no one was afraid of Earth's guns. They were afraid of the moments they didn't use them. Admiral Rill watched the footage twice. Then threw his datapad across the deck. They're manipulating us with restraint. Solon blinked. You mean they're choosing not to escalate? Exactly. Sir, that's diplomacy. He glared at her. No, that's control. They're using silence as a threat. But his crew didn't nod this time, because somewhere, deep inside, they understood. Silence isn't always a threat. Sometimes it's a verdict. 3 days later, on a fringe colony called Resenfor, A shuttle crash trapped 12 miners under rubble. No rescue was in range. No. Council response. But Earth heard the ping. And a single Death Worlder ship dropped in. No weapons drawn. No press. Just hands. They cleared the rubble in 6 hours. Left medkits behind. Refused reward. And left one message etched in the cliffside. We were the Scream once. Now we answer it. The smear campaign failed because no one feared Earth the way the Council hoped. They feared something worse. They feared the question Earth kept forcing them to ask, why didn't we answer the Scream? In the Council chambers, someone finally said it aloud. Maybe they're not monsters. Maybe they're reminders. Back aboard the Tigris, General Marin stood by the central viewport. A new signal had just arrived. Another distress call. Farther? This time, deeper in Council-controlled space. Her comms officer glanced at her. You want us to move? No. He blinked. No? She nodded once. Not yet. Why? She turned to face him fully, voice flat. Because someone else needs to answer first. The galaxy held its breath. Not for war, but for shame. Because Earth was never the Pitals but ever the biggest. Threat. The silence was, and now? The silence had learned how to walk. The final distress signal wasn't dramatic. No fire. No war. No blood. Just a slow leak of atmosphere from a crumbling refugee station over the ice moon of Dr. Elk-6. 3,000 souls. Oxygen failure in 6 hours. No rescue in range. No food left to ration. The Council received the call, and this time, they didn't laugh. They didn't delete it. They didn't wait for Earth. Inside the Council chamber, no one spoke for a full minute after the transmission ended. Counselor Rizar, the same who once ordered the Varna signal erased, finally whispered, Has Earth responded? No, Kyer said quietly. Rizar turned toward the screen again. Are they watching? Kyer didn't answer, because everyone already knew. Earth watched everything. In Terran space. The signal blinked across Earth's central relay. Aboard the Tigris, General Marin stood still, arms crossed, eyes locked on the display. That's Council jurisdiction, her second said carefully. And they did get the message first this time. Marin didn't respond. Not for a full 20 seconds. Then she gave a short nod. Good. Do we launch? No. General? She exhaled. This time, we wait. It shook the galaxy harder than any orbital strike. Earth waited. No. Ships deployed. No medpod sent. Not even a reply. The Council had never feared Terran weapons. But now? Now they feared what Earth chose not to do. 3 hours passed, and then the fest. Unexpected happened. The Council sent aid. Fleets launched. Rescue vessels deployed. Fuel and oxygen OFFLOADED. No delay. No debate. They moved, and it wasn't fear that drove them. It was the weight of every moment they hadn't acted before. On Drelk 6, the refugees didn't know who was coming. They didn't care. All they saw were ships landing. Food being handed out. Oxygen restored. Children lifted off ice floors into warm shelters. One elder asked the question anyway. Is it Earth? A pilot shook his head. Council fleet. The elder smiled. Then Earth did answer. In orbit, Council Fleet Admiral Solari recorded a public address unprecedented. Short, raw. To the people of Earth, you waited. We didn't understand, but now we do. Your silence was not absence. It was trust, and we will not let you stand alone. Again. Earth never replied, not formally. But that night, one Terran drone made a single pass over Dr. Elk-6. No weapons. No scans. Just one message, projected in light across the snow. You heard them. That's what mattered. 2 weeks later, the Council declassified the Varna recordings. They played it system-wide. No edits. No sensors. A Terran soldier standing. In ash, surrounded by silence, whispering. You chose to ignore a scream. And then walking away. Afterward, silence became sacred, not feared, respected, because now they knew what it cost Earth to break it. Ambassador Thurin of Varna, now elected as the first non-council high diplomat, gave his own speech. They call Earth a death world. They're wrong. Earth is a memory of what happens when you scream into the stars, and no one comes. At a monument raised near Varna's rebuilt capital, there are no guns carved in.